Hello everyone, it is the AI developer back at you once again with another video. This time we're going to be talking about a very popular topic, I guess, that has kind of risen up um, as of late as it pertains to coding and programming and technology. So let's just jump right into it. So I came across this video here, and the title of this video, as you guys can see, is My Thoughts on Vibe Coding and Prime. All right, now let me just open up this channel here so you guys can see. This is a channel by the name of Theo or T3.gg, and it says this is a software developer nerd, mostly for full stack TypeScript stuff, and Twitter, third channel, Twitch, and they have a website here, so on and so forth. Right? Okay, so a pretty big coding channel is what it seems like. Now, my thing is, let's get into vibe coding, right? Okay, so what is vibe coding? Let's define it. So this is all information that I did some quick research with ChatGPT, and this is what it gave me back, right? So vibe coding. Let me actually put this over into so you guys could see. Well, I won't show it, but we'll talk about it anyway. So vibe coding. What is vibe coding? Coding isn't an official methodology like Agile or TDD, but more of a cultural or stylistic approach to writing code. It's all about flow state, rapid prototyping, creativity over perfection, minimal overhead. So flow state, you're in the zone, maybe with lo-fi beats or synthwave in the background. Rapid prototyping, you're not overthinking, you're building what feels right, then iterating. Creativity over perfection. It's less, is this optimal, and more, does this work and feel good? Minimal overhead. Forget the 12 tab Jira story breakdown. Just open your editor and go. Think of it like coding as a creative expression where intuition and enjoyment take the front seat. It's often used by indie hackers, creative devs, or startup folks trying to quickly ship something, especially in hackathons, side projects, or weekend builds. So, I'm a vibe coder. I'm a vibe coder, and I've always been a vibe coder, I guess. I mean, according to this definition, but it's just funny to me how these terms, like these terms, get coined, right? And you have, developers who are such as myself who already put lo-fi beats in the background and already kind of code in this style, rapid prototyping, very iterative, very creative, very fun, right? Not trying to optimize everything performance rise off the bat. You're instead having fun with coding, is what I like to call it, right? Just trying to build something as fast as you can and, get to a certain goal. So that's what vibe coding is. And that's what I've already been doing. I was doing that at CVS. I was doing that before CVS, right? I was doing that in Web3. Right? I do that now with Infinity MVP, the agency. So which is why this type of vibe coding, the only way that you can create an agency and offer software engineering services on a subscription basis is if you vibe code. How else are you able to ship out that quickly, as far as shipping out concepts and minimum MVP, minimum viable products? You can't ship those kinds of things out in 1 to 2 weeks, MVP products, that quickly, unless you're a vibe coder. So the proof is right there. So, and this has me a little bit emotional because it's like, how do these coins get termed? You know what I mean? It's like a bunch of us, myself included. I know there's a bunch of other people out there too, coders and programmers who are also vibe coders and who've always been vibe coders, yet they've been forced to kind of code in a way, that's more traditional, right? Like let's go into pair programming, for example, which was the kind of the norm at CVS. And it's kind of the norm across the industry for a lot of companies, right? Um, how can you vibe code and get into the flow state with lo-fi beats or synthwave in the background when you're pair programming? How can you rapid prototype when you're pair programming and build what you feel is right when you have someone who has their own set of ideas, and you guys might clash or conflict when it comes to like how you guys might want to attack this first portion or this rapid proto, like it can be very difficult to do, especially in like an agile or TDD type of methodology, where there's There's seniority as far as like you working with developers of different levels, and there's all of these nuances and politics. So at the enterprise level, I want to say you can't truly vibe code, and this is one of the reasons why, you know, I ended up I'm not at CVS anymore, was because um this is essentially me. I'm a vibe coder. And some of these organizations, the culture fit isn't set up for vibe coders. Isn't set up for one guy to do his job, asynchronously and just kind of log in, document everything he's doing, do a good job, maybe have a meeting or two, and then, put lo-fi beats on and just be in the flow state. I was constantly being bombarded with meetings, especially useless meetings. Let's not even get started. So while I'm trying to get myself into flow state, putting on my lo-fi beats, meditating before I start work, trying to crack out MVPs and experiment, um, with our company issued MacBooks, trying to experiment as opposed to going into meetings and saying and theorizing and trying to like work everything out on paper. I'm someone who has to. I like to jump into the code very quickly to kind of flesh out what we can and what we can't do, what may be possible, what may not be possible, and things like that. So all right, so that was a little bit of a rant, and I had to get that out because, like I said, these terms get coined, and it's like we've always been here. Vibe coders and vibe coding has always been a thing. You know, it hasn't always been a thing, but we've always been around, and it's always been around, right? So now we're going to the question of when did vibe coding actually become a thing, right? So it's kind of hard to pin down the exact origin. I'm just now hearing about vibe coding, in February, March-ish, or I want to say like early March-ish is when I first heard the term vibe coding, and I keep hearing it, from people that are kind of like, in my circle and on podcasts that I'm listening to. But I guess the phrase started circulating around 2021 to 2023 on dev Twitter or X, Reddit, and also indie hacker forums. It's kind of a reaction to over-engineer enterprise processes. And that goes into the rant. I just got finished ranting about this point right here. This is one of the key points. Over-engineered enterprise processes, right? Getting into all of these unnecessary meetings, right? For example, then you have burnout from corporate dev culture, right? Same thing. It's easy to get burnt out when you're hired to do a job, yet you have to sit through 4 to 5 hours of meetings spread out throughout your day, so you're never able to actually attain that flow state. You can put your lo-fi on for like 15 minutes, and then once you actually hit the flow state at that 10 to 12 minute mark, now you have to go and get into this meeting for 30 minutes and sit there and absorb a bunch of useless information. Then you have for our third point, the desire to bring joy and flow back to coding. So vibe coding is a reaction to over-engineer enterprise processes, burnout from corporate dev culture, and the desire to bring joy and flow back to coding. I mean, coding has been enjoyable for me. It didn't start to become unenjoyable until I actually got a job at the enterprise level, until I actually got into the industry. So, you know, I think that says a lot, that statement, that I enjoyed coding until I actually was working for a company at the enterprise level and making a very nice salary. But the job started to become unenjoyable, all because I was being harassed due to the pair programming paradigm and agile methodology being used. I was being harassed, and we won't get into that. I'll save that for a separate video. But I was essentially being harassed when the workload was low by someone who just wanted to pair with me and hold me hostage in pair programming in pair sessions. I mean, I don't know if they just had some kind of infatuation with me and just wanted to just talk to me all the time. I don't really know, but pair programming should never be used to weaponize your seniority, to, I don't know, micromanage someone. So that's ridiculous. But anyways, let's move on. So it also says here you could think of vibe coding as a spiritual cousin to move fast and break things, but a little more chill, right? With a little chill guy twist on it. So vibe coding and Y Combinator. So Y Combinator, because I saw something about Y Combinator mentioning vibe coding as well. So I was wondering about that. So it says Y Combinator, while not directly coining vibe coding, has definitely fostered the culture that led to it. They encourage founders to just build, iterate quickly, and avoid getting bogged down. Many successful Y Combinator founders talk about building their MVPs in a weekend or just grinding with the flow. The whole build something people want philosophy lends itself to this more intuitive, fast-paced coding style. So while YC didn't invent vibe coding, it's safe to say a lot of their alumni vibe coded their way into success. So there you have it. Just wanted to make this not so quick video on vibe coding. Make sure you guys go and follow Theo. This is one of the largest software engineering or coding channels out there. I am not subscribed, but I did catch this video and I wanted to kind of bring it to you guys' attention. So make sure you guys go and subscribe and check out the full video. It is 2 hours and 55 minutes long, so I'm not going to check out the entire thing. There's a bunch that is discussed in this video. I probably will check out more of it, to be honest, and see if there's any more insights that I can take away that maybe can lead to being the source of many more rants on this subject from myself, because I definitely have a lot to say about coding and the tech space currently, and I definitely think I have a lot to offer from my unique perspective as someone who is self-taught and actually broke his way into the industry, working for one of the top healthcare companies in the world as a software engineer, and then going back into startup land, after being at the enterprise level for some time. So and then also I'm skipping out on a lot of different things, being in Web3, being cloud certified, all those different things, also being in tech and coding for about 13, I want to say, to 16 years now. I started out in cybersecurity, so a wealth of experience that I bring to the table, and just being in these different, before cybersecurity and OPSEC was actually built out into a space. I was actually involved when you can get arrested, when you could still get in trouble for hacking and trying to become a security researcher or pen tester or penetration tester, or all of these different terms we have now that we didn't have before. So a lot of you guys weren't around during that time when Bugcrowd was just becoming a thing. So, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video and tell you guys a little bit about my tech history. So we'll drop it off there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow me if you're on LinkedIn, and subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube at AI Dev Now or Algorithmic Innovations. And that's it for this one. As always, keep coding, guys.